Hey everyone, Nick from ResoNix Sound Solutions here with another competitor spotlight. This time we have you. Who are you and what do we got here?
I'm Tank Fulton. I'm based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm driving a 2015 Kia Optima LX. This is the base model, so no center channel, but it's a pretty stealthy OEM, system.
All right, so tell me more. What do you got going on back here?
All right, so I've got a high output JLW3. It's a 12.
Okay.
This is the box that JL makes. I wanted to retain my trunk space for functionality as a daily driver. Be able to, do all the things, and I can pull it out. So I can disconnect and pull a box, and it's actually mounted to the top of the back of the seats.
Okay.
Which I
can't even really see.
Yeah, you can't see from here. You really can't see from the other side either because it's attached. The carpeting is attached to the carpeting.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah.
So you have everything else in place. You have all your spare tire and everything.
Yeah. So the spare is actually no tire in there. It's just
so you got space to really get crazy if you wanted to.
If I want to get crazy, I can, and there may be a point in which I do. But right now, my amps are just. I have 2 amps. One is under each of my seats.
Okay, cool.
So
you know what? Speaking of that, why don't we hop in the car?
All right.
And here, let's get this closed, and we'll take a look at what's going on in here. All right. So.
All right.
I'm gonna make this a little quieter for us. All right. So Tank, what do we have going on in here?
Okay. So this car did go through 2 sort of iterations. I started with a Focal polyglass 2-way component set. Okay. I bought all my equipment used, but I got the 6.5s in my doors, and then I actually have my tweeters here mounted flush in the sail panels.
Okay.
But originally they were in the OEM dash location. I wasn't really happy with the detail and clarity I was getting, so I decided to add a mid-range. I got a Morel 2.5 wideband. It's the CCW 254 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Some name we're never gonna remember.
Right, all of these code names for the speakers. So I added that. I have an active 3-way, no rear fill right now.
Okay.
And I replaced the OEM radio with the Alpine ILX 507.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know you could do that in these cars.
Yeah, so it looks pretty flush. It gave me the features I wanted for Android Auto, those types of things. Yeah. And this is pretty much my speaker setup. I've got a VXI, a JL Audio VXI 1005i, running my mids and both my mid-range and my mid-bass. And then I have the sub is also running off of that one. And then my tweeters are running off of a Alpine PDX 400 or 4.100, I think. Okay. So it's 100 watts per channel. Okay. But they're just running the tweeters.
Okay. Cool. So tell me, you mentioned you went from a 2-way to a 3-way. What did you notice you gained from that?
So I think the stage got a little wider. Okay. With the moving of the tweeters to
I mean, I guess that makes sense too, because you're physically moving the tweeter from there to there, and then the mid-range is going. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. What else did you experience from that?
Definitely an increase in detail, and I think the Morels added a little smoothness to the tone. Okay. So I still have those kind of bright pieces with the focals that they can do, when you hear those horns or those high notes. But the vocals are very smooth and still coherent, so I really enjoy that.
Cool. So let me ask you, what was, do you do all your own tuning and install stuff?
No, so I did have a guy who did my original install and tune, and I have been going to a couple shows now, so I have been modifying the tune on my own, so I'm learning right now how to, work on my own tune.
Cool. So since you've been learning, what is something that you've learned recently that you've implemented into the system when tuning?
Mostly making sure that you don't have any speakers that are overpowering the others.
Okay. Levels.
Yeah, levels. Levels are super important. Making sure that each one, which I know the Max does it, and they got all these microphone systems. I don't have any of those just yet. But just making sure that they all kind of are above the dash, and just making sure it's all singular.
How do you go about making sure that each speaker is about the same level?
So I'll tap into the VXI. I'll mute the other speakers so I can isolate and hear whether it's just the mid ranges playing. Then I'll do the same thing with the tweeters.
You'll make sure left and right are like
right, left or right.
I do the same thing. Yeah, very simple way to go about it. So, so you're relatively new to competing, aren't you?
I'm very new. So the only reason that I even have a system is because I have a Kia, and Kia's had some engine problems. But fortunately, Kia did a warranty for basically the life of the car. So I got a free engine replacement, and the money I would have used for the engine, I decided to upgrade my car system, my stereo system. So I went and, figured out what is the nice equipment to have. I learned about DSPs, and I just dove right in.
So what prompted you? So you went and just upgraded your system like a normal person. What prompted you to end up here like a crazy person?
So I found out that competing was a thing thanks to good old Facebook. Really, I was hunting for information. I wanted to learn, and I wanted to understand the acoustics of cars and how sound works, and really understanding what is the point of diminishing returns. And along the way, I found out that there's all these legendary people in the car audio SQ competition world. And I was like, what better way to hear all of this equipment that I don't have access to than to go to an event and just listen to cars.
Yeah, cool. So how many events have you been to?
This is my third event. So
this is your third event ever?
Yeah.
Were the first two, were they bigger ones, or are they smaller, like local shows?
They were smaller local shows. The last one was a little big. It was at Mark Eldridge's place in Bixby, Oklahoma.
Okay. Oh, so you're traveling a bit.
Just a little bit.
So let me ask you, since you are new to it, what kind of advice would you give to anybody who may be watching this video in the future, who hasn't been to an event or hasn't been to one in a very long time, and might not know what to expect or what they are, how they are? What kind of advice would you give to someone, even if they're not even thinking about competing, or if they are? What kind of advice would you give?
My advice would be, one, if you haven't bought equipment, go to a show first before you buy anything. Talk to people. People are very approachable. You just ask, everybody's here to show off their cars. So you just want to ask, hey, when you get a chance, can I get a demo? They'll play what they have as a demo, but you can also make specific requests. If there's a reference song that you're used to hearing, what it sounds like, do that. And I think this is also a good place to learn like what works for what you want. The speaker placement, those types of things can help you make decisions. And I think it's just a good place to come and learn, regardless of whether you want to participate in this or not.
Yeah, it's funny. You're the second person that said that exact same thing to that question. So it's funny. Any other details about your system that you want to go over?
I do have, since this VXI has optical input, I did buy a little DAC that does USB-C to optical that I can run directly to the VXI.
You don't have that set up now, do you?
So I have presets on the knob, and then in here I actually have there's my my little DAC, and that's running to a little splitter. But I can change my presets with my knob and play optical, which will give me a little more volume sometimes when I want it, and it'll also give me a little bit less noise on some of the tracks.
Okay, cool. Any thank yous to anyone out there before we get out of here? Anyone mentor you, or is this all you?
I don't necessarily have a mentor.
Cool.
But I have a couple of shops that have helped me in Dallas with my install. So I don't want to mispronounce the names right now, but they know who they are, and I appreciate the support.
Cool. Thank you for walking us through your system and providing some information.
No problem.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.